All right, the last thing that we're going to bring up here, and this was not on the original slate to talk about, but it was something that came up overnight. And I have a video of it here. Just hold on, give me a second. I'm just going to bring it up with no context. Dave Chappelle on stage.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for hip-hop history.
Boom!
Oh,
Gets
yeah,
attacked on stage.
They fucked that dude up, by the way.
Oh, I know. I saw his broken arm.
Mm-hmm.
He had a.
They broke.
He left it.
Yeah, they fucked him up.
Which, honestly, yeah, they should have. What a dick.
Why did that guy attack Dave Chappelle? Do we know?
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Monty, please take the lead on this.
So Dave Chappelle's mentioned a couple times that he's been wanting more security ever since his shows on Netflix came out, and people decided that you can't joke about certain abbreviations of people anymore. And Dave Chappelle, being Dave Chappelle, said, fuck you, I'm going to joke about whatever I want, which, yeah, he should. And some people don't like that. And they tend to be the people who say that they're very tolerant.
You know, I want to throw this out there, and people might think I'm taking it a little too far, which I am. Maybe if I am, you can correct me. But I'm just gonna look at the camera and say, "Thanks, Will Smith."
You
did this.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is this? Actually, I did say that. I made a post earlier today, and I said that same exact thing. I said, "Well, I guess the war against comedians has officially begun." Thanks, Will Smith. Because and it might be a low-hanging fruit thing to attack, or to grab onto, but like I 100% agree that if Will Smith wouldn't have done to Chris Rock what he did, this wouldn't have happened to Dave Chappelle. That's exactly how I feel, and I think this is just the beginning. I think this is going to get worse, and I think it's
especially like the edgier and honestly the funnier the comedian is, the more likely this is going to happen.
I think the only person it's not going to happen to, or at least not a physical altercation, like hand-to-hand combat, it might go worse.
That little puppet dog guy?
No, I was gonna say Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, because I mean he could actually fucking fight back. And he's
right,
like,
so that's what I mean. Like,
let you run at him so that you can hit the fucking brick wall that is Joe Rogan.
Yeah, the 5'1" brick wall. But
he's like a concrete barrier.
Me. Yeah, he is. He's like June, my pig in the backyard. You know, she's like 1 foot tall, but goddamn, she's. I could move this house before I move her. Yeah. But this was something that I thought. This is the beginning of the war on comedians, and I think that is such a sad statement. And it has to be, like, when you are literally attacking the people who are doing their best to make you laugh. So when it comes to this specifically, Seth, what are your thoughts on comedians and what they joke about? You know, like obviously it was Dave Chappelle's jokes on like transgender people that's what got him in hot water. You know, and I can't say what the joke was off the top of my head. I'm not exactly sure. If one of you guys want to look up what that joke was, you're more than welcome.
Not a good idea, but yeah.
But I don't know what it was, because I tend to stay away from this type of drama. But like, do you think there is maybe a point where comedians need to tone it down a bit, or do you think that's not what comedians are for? Comedians should just do whatever they want, and if they're offensive, then they just don't get famous.
I mean, there's a line between being offensive and just being a jerk. Like you can say jokes about what you want, but like, I mean, I guess you could do this, but you shouldn't just go on stage and just be like, "Oh, I hate women." Like, that's not a joke. That's not an offensive joke. That's just saying that for no reason. And that could go for any category. Oh, I hate transgender people. Oh, I hate gay people. Like, that's not an offensive joke. And I'm not saying that's what he said, but I'm just saying, like, that's not an offensive joke. That's just saying things for the sake of saying things.
Yeah, it's for shock value. Yeah.
really watch stand-up comedians that much. So I've not seen Dave Chappelle, but I have heard of the drama going on with it, that he does say some stuff. But I'll say this: nobody deserves to be attacked for a joke, like physically attacked on stage over a joke.
Correct.
And we even said it on the show, or I think maybe you said it on the show back when it happened. Like, attacking comedians on stage, Will Smith just made it okay.
Yep.
I think those were your exact words. Will Smith just made this okay. And it's going to happen again. And it did. And it'll probably happen again at some point.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a start. And I think it's going to be a start for a plethora of reasons. Not just for people trying to stand up for something that they feel is right, but also now the clout. Oh yeah, man, that was me, man. I ran up there and I did that. Like, now it's going to be a challenge. Now it's going to be, comedians are going to have to like put up that chicken wire, a barrier between them and the audience. It's disappointing. And Seth, you make a very, very mature point, because there is a difference between having a creative joke that plays at the expense of a certain type of people, but that's what jokes are. All jokes are versions of that. You're making fun of one thing or another, but when you're straight up just getting on stage and insulting people, that's completely different. I don't know what the joke was. I don't know what the context of this attack was, but I will say one that I do know is Michael Richards. Does that name sound familiar to anybody? He played Kramer on Seinfeld.
Oh yeah,
that's exactly what you're getting. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, but that name and that scenario did not connect in my head. So I
always called him Kramer.
Yeah, Michael Richards did a whole bit where he was talking about black people and he kept saying the N-word. Now, in Michael Richards' mind, he thought he was being funny. And then one guy, back in the early stages of cell phone cameras, like we're like flip phone camera, like 1 megapixel, very bad quality, but you can still hear it. One guy's like, dude, that's really offensive. Can you stop? And it was a black guy who said it, and Michael Richards would not stop. He was like, no, this is my chance, and that's a heckler. I don't know what to do. And he just pointed at that guy and called him the N-word. Oh, you're just being an N-word. And the guy's like, dude, that's really freaking offensive.
It's like,
and Michael Richards in his mindset is like, well, I can't stop now. I got to stick to the bit. And like the guy's literally walking out of the theater, and Michael Richards is just looking at him, calling him the N-word. All right, get out of here, N-word. Like, haha, ain't I funny? He took that joke too seriously, right, guys? And then Michael Richards was like, probably like one of the most original.
That was the end of his career.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, he was like one of the first actually canceled people, like, for that reason. And
he kind of made sense though.
That's what I mean by Seth. What Seth said, like that. What Michael Richards was doing was not taking a situation and saying something funny about it. He was literally just insulting people and calling that comedy. So Seth, that was a very mature, thought out statement you just said, and I know Dave Chappelle stand up. I know how creative this guy is. And Seth, I do recommend you go watch some of Dave Chappelle's older stand up, and you will laugh, because he's one funny dude. I don't think I've ever seen him say anything that was just blatantly looking at the audience and insulting them. There's usually an underlying meaning behind what he's saying that's supposed to make people think. And sometimes Dave Chappelle does that in a certain way that like makes him look bad, makes him look like the bad guy, but makes you think about yourself.
It definitely makes a lot of people who don't like to feel uncomfortable, it makes them feel fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's what, especially now, people do not like being made uncomfortable, especially when confronted with inconvenient truths that they maybe don't want to hear, or they like to label as, other top shelf words that get thrown around way too often, bigot, for instance.
Right.
There's no way in hell Dave Chappelle is a bigot. I've been watching Dave Chappelle. Obviously you've been watching him longer, but Chappelle's show, his older stand-ups from the 90s and everything.
Yeah.
you know, yeah, he says shit that maybe some people would find offensive, but you know what? He does it.
You know what? Hang out with Monty for an hour.
He does it as a professional comedian, and yeah, fuck, man. Comedy is subjective, and it's not meant to make light of horrible things. It's meant to kind of make fun of the absurdity of the world that we live in.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Guess what? The world's gotten pretty fucking absurd. And for comedians like Dave Chappelle, they're going to use that shit. And it's gotten pretty easy to use stuff like that.
But at the same time, the other edge of this sword really is, does something need to change, though? Does something need to change? I mean, I'll put it this way. I watched Pirates of the Caribbean the other day. I watched all 3 movies back to back to back. I had it on. I was cleaning and doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I forget how old those movies are. I mean, the first movie came out before Seth was born. And I cannot believe how sexualized Keira Knightley, is that who it was? Yeah, Keira Knightley was in all 3 of those movies. Not one, but multiple times. All 3 movies, they joke about her getting naked or being naked, taking your clothes off. You know, oh, you're gonna want to know what it tastes like. Oh, I do want to know what it tastes like. You know, that they're being suggestive. It was insane. I watched it. I'm like, I haven't seen a movie like that in so long. And I'm just like, but I think of Pirates of the Caribbean, like it holds up so well. It's a timeless movie. Like you could tell me that movie came out last year and it would still hold up. But I was like, the only thing that's time stamped it now is it is so overly sexualizing women. And like, it's bad. Like the women with their pushed up bras and all that stuff. And I don't care, but whatever. It's a pirate movie. Who gives a fuck? But my point is like where we were just 18 years ago, like it's so different to where we are now. And I've talked about this before about a pendulum swing. And I feel like we're in the swing of this pendulum, you know, like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, we were over here, you know, we're like, or maybe 60s up here, then 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Now we're over here.
You know? Dude, I agree completely. It's that same pendulum mentality. And I think I mentioned it once before with you. It's like, you know, back in movies again, like up here, 60s, 70s, 80s, all that stuff. You know, no, don't show any ankles. You know what, maybe a little ankles. Fuck it, you know, a cloth bikini. You know what, full frontal. And then now you're up here, and
the next thing you know, the movie Deep
now
Throat
the other
comes
side
out.
of the people are fucking pissed off now, and it's gonna come back. It always does. It comes to a head, and then it comes back.
Well, hopefully, and that's what I'm hoping is that pendulum swing eventually meets in the middle to where we all like are happy. Comedians can still talk about, you know, risque subjects without insulting people, and people can actually listen to a joke about themselves and not consider it a complete and utter attack on their mentality.
And you know, that's kind of the thing though now, is that a lot of people today just don't know how to take a fucking joke. You know, they like to say that jokes now are assault, and it's like, no, it's not.
No, it's definitely not, man. And it is what it is, and it sucks that Dave Chappelle got attacked. But I'm telling you right now, this is just the beginning. That's it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Can I throw something out there that involves this scenario that I did see? And I hope I'm not getting clickbaited here, but I saw a video on this earlier, like a video of it. Chris Rock was there at this thing. Did you see what he said? He went on stage to like see if Dave Chappelle was okay, and when he was, he helped him up, looked at the audience, said, "Was that Will Smith?"
Yep.
That's amazing. What a great comedian, dude.
Jamie Foxx was there too.
Was he? I didn't
he's
hear
one of the
about
people
that.
He's one of the first people that ran after the guy on off stage.
Oh. I love Jamie Foxx, man.
Yeah,
somebody I forgot what podcast it was where somebody tried to get him to like get pissed off at Robert Downey Jr. for blackface back in Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah. And
he's like, well, you're missing the point. His whole character was meant to be like a parody of actors that do shit like that. Like if you're getting offended over it, then you're completely missing the joke.
Right. Yeah, that's what I've always said. You cannot touch Tropic Thunder in this cancel culture for one reason and one reason only. Because Robert Downey Jr. wasn't playing a black guy in the movie. he was playing an Australian. You know what? You want to cancel Tropic Thunder, do it correctly. You're right. Robert Downey Jr. is not Australian. You're absolutely correct. This needs to be rectified. Somebody get Jamie Foxx on this. let's take care of this. I'm going to end this right here with Aaron White says Dave Chappelle and Half Baked was hilarious. You're right, Aaron White. Dave Chappelle is awesome. He is funny, and he lives right down the road from us, Monty. I
heard that. That's amazing.
Not too far from us at all. Which is very humble because it's boring out here.